So what do the undulating hills of the Somerset Levels and my van have in common? That this should just be nice and straightforward. It should take 15 minutes aside, Richard. It won't. We're also going to be looking at some old wiring that I put in ages ago for some flashy upgrades. The first thing we're going to look at is the Somerset Levels thing. And when we were away last time, a few weeks ago, we went over the Somerset Levels, and they have the humps of Jordan. Not that Jordan, you know, like camels that we went to go and see. And we found that actually the body roll on the bus seemed to be a bit worse than usual. And that actually tallies with one of the advisories that we got on our last MOT. Basically, it mentioned that we got warm bushes, and we reckon that actually the dampers that we've got on here haven't been changed for a long time. So that's what we're going to look at doing at first. So the first thing you need to understand about our van is that we have leaf springs for suspension, and we have dampeners. You might have heard them called shock absorbers, whatever you want to call them. But on ours, we've got obviously one each side at the front, one each side at the back, and these big old leaf springs. We're not worried about these. Touch wood, these are fine. We're going to be changing the dampers out, and that should, first and foremost, when we're driving along, stop so much of this rocking that goes on. We're never going to eradicate it. We're a big old beast, but it should help even out a bit. You can see here, just doing this, stay still, that we get a bit of it. Upgrading or changing out components like shock absorbers can be an expensive business. I went to Mercedes and got a quote for the two fronts and the two backs, and it came back at nearly 600 quid, which is not unusual. So what I've done, being a tight ass, is I've managed to actually find new old stock versions of these. And I've gone for Sachs shock absorbers, which is what Mercedes would fit anyway. And I managed to get them, which I'm very happy with, at £200 delivered for all four. And I'm going to try and fit them myself, which could be a bloody nightmare, because the nuts and bolts, as I'm showing you here, are well and truly rusty and basically well and truly ground in there. So I'm just going to spray a little bit of penetrative oil on there. I'm using something that absolutely stinks called Plus Gas that basically I found during my mini days. Going to spray it in here and let it sit, and we'll see if we can get them to budge. Been told though by other Vario owners that this should just be nice and straightforward. It should take 15 minutes aside, Richard. It won't. Let's have a look. Listen, time has passed like well over an hour, and I've had a go at the front one and the back one. I just can't get in there to make it move, and I don't have the equipment here really to get in and get the bolts out. So I've only got like one set of deep sockets and so on and so forth, and they're just fused in there. I think I'm gonna have to chalk this one up to a fail and be happy that I've managed to source parts that are cheap and seek help here. Let's move on and we'll come back to this later. Around here on the front of my bus, which is looking rather sorry for itself, it must be said, it's quite dirty, is our front grille. And ages ago I ran wires from the dash down here for strobes and extra spotlights. We already have a light bar up on the roof rack, and I wanted to add spotlights. So what I'm actually going to do, and what I've managed to find, is this excellent light bar here. And why I think it's excellent, because I've never actually seen it working, is that it's got both the strobes and the spots built in. The brackets that came with it were rubbish. They wouldn't have allowed me to sit it above our tow bar here. But I managed to source some different ones online that are just made of alloy, and they're powder coated. They allow me to put it just above. So to attach the light bar, I've actually got two options. So the bumper here that we've got on it is, I mean, it's as old as the vehicle, so it's already got some drill holes in there. I don't know what for. Maybe previously someone already had spotlights on there. So I can either attach it through there and pop it on the bumper, or I could pop it through this grille part here. This, on a Vario, this bit is made of plastic, but behind it there is a metal support, so I'd have to drill through both of those. So I'm just going to investigate both. They've both got their merits, they've both got their reasons not to do it. Because if I pop it on here, it will stop anybody being able to remove this quickly. Not impossible, but quickly, which might be a good thing, might be a bad thing. If I pop it on here, it means I do have to drill through some body work. but aerodynamically it should mean the light bar actually comes in line with this and doesn't block the access to the radiator. I'm just going to take it apart and see what's what. And whilst we're here, we'll slap some hammer on that. Jobs are good. Our last night time came and I ran out of light. It's the next morning and I've messaged my friend that did those shocks in 15 minutes. And he said, "Do you not have an impact driver?" And I'm like, that's why. But anyway, we'll come back to that later. I'm going to Wago up the lighting now because I've got the switches in here and I've got the cables already that I've ran through via relays ready to work on the front, but I just want to check that they work. And they've got like a couple of different functions that allow you to basically choose the strobe pattern. I'm just stripping down some of this twin flex. Now I bought this twin flex roll. What is this? Here, 100 meters of it about 2 years ago. And I've still probably got, I don't know, a quarter of it left. But honestly, big tip, like if you're doing a van build, especially one of this size, buy some twin flex that will do like almost everything. So this here is my 1.5 mil. So I bought 1.5 mil and 2.5 mil. And I've sort of used that everywhere depending on the use for it. So this 1.5 will be more than enough for what we're doing here. And I've just stripped the twin flex down so I can wire up my earth. So I want a good earth. I'm going to run locally somewhere here on an existing bolt on a body. I love these. This is like a really good investment. They're heat shrink. You can pop them on, crimp them up, so you do need a specific crimp, and then you apply a bit of heat and it basically makes it waterproof. I use them everywhere now. I love them. So just pop this on because we do need a good ground. See the glue squishing out there. Lovely. And then we can see how this is going to work. I actually noticed that this side, the bumpers, it's not doing it now. Yeah, it's loose. So I'm going to do them up too while I'm here. Stop some rattling. Right, Wagoed up. That one's not in there yet. Let's give it a test. See if I've guessed the right way around. Brilliant, I've got it the right way around. Now these are just flashing at the moment. These aren't attached to my hazards at all, because actually the reason why we want to put these on, it's for a bit of bling, of course, but also for when we're at festivals and stuff, or heaven forbid broken down. Now, this yellow cable here, this is important because this will change this pattern if you apply power to it. See how it's changed? Ooh, I think I'll have to come out at night and tinker with this. Oh, that's cool. Quite like that. I'm going to come back out at night though and check it out. We'll just wire up the ones that we know are definitely right. So for the spotlights, using these butt connectors, butt splices, and then later on we'll come out and choose that, see how good it looks in the dark. I'm also going to add a bit of white hammer right here where it's got a bit stone chipped underneath. Alright, so as the week went on, I thought I could do with a new tool here. I could do with the Dugga Dugga. So I've bought one. and I've managed to get the nuts off of this side, but it wasn't straightforward. Even with this, it was much easier. I don't think I would have done it by hand. And I employed the technique, Dugga Dugga it off a little bit, lots of WD-40 penetrating oil, doing it back up a bit, cleaning the threads with a wire brush, and so on and so forth, because they were minging, absolutely minging. And what I was finding is it was just clogging up the threads. And obviously I didn't want to start the bar, I don't want to cause any trouble. I must be honest, even in moments of impatience when I was doing full send, it wasn't going anywhere. So a little bit off, a little bit back in, clean the threads, and so on and so forth. And hopefully I'm about to free this first shock absorber. We can see what state they're in. Now that it's off, I'm not sure these have been off for like since before the arc. Like if you have a look at this is the front ones, by the way. So these according to the MOT are fine, but the bolts are absolutely fused in here. So like the bolt that I need to put in the new one, I'm gonna have to try and prise out. I've tried wanging it with a hammer as hard as I can, and it won't. So I'm just gonna give it the Dugga Dugga and see if that can loosen it off. First I'll move my coffee because I don't want that flying off the table. This thing vibrates like nobody's business, mate. Spray some of that penetrative oil in there. Right. Clean that shaft. Clean the shaft. Clean the shaft. 15 minutes, my ass. Yeah, boy, come on, everybody. Oh. Okay, so you can see the difference between the new and the old ones. Let me just grab it in terms of like wear and tear, but this isn't always a good sign. I don't think that there's anything wrong with them, apart from what you can see with bushes, because obviously that is not good. You can see the difference between the new and the old ones. These are quite perished, these ones aren't. And they're just a direct swap. You can see these are pretty well worn. The other thing, these do have movement in them. Like if you've never changed one before, which I haven't, so I'm no expert, didn't expect them to like move around, but they do. But the old one, I can move it pretty easily. But it still works. The new one, I can still move it around, but it takes a much more sort of force. It's about to start raining, so I'm going to try and get these fitted up. I'm going to clean the old nuts and bolts up, add a little bit of copper grease on them to just assemble it, and then torque it back up, and hopefully the other side gives us less trouble. Now this one, I can see how it would take 15 minutes. This one looks in much better overall condition. Actually, you can see, although it's a bit grubby, you can see that the coating on the bolt is still there. So just like this, I'm going to clean these up and put the new one back on. This one will side touch wood, so far it's been much more straightforward. Yeah, you can see here, this one's been changed much more recently. Don't know when, because there's still quite a lot of guff on here. And they put it back together with a little bit of copper slip, which is why it came apart so much easier. Nice one, thank you. Right, let's get them back in, torqued up. I'm gonna climb under and inspect the rears, see if I can do those today. If not, we'll go for a little drive, because I still feel pretty accomplished that I've managed to change those two. And definitely the one side was absolutely shot a bit. I've been under the van, Dugga Duggaed off the bottom ones and put them back in. They're in pretty good shape, but they were well seized in there. The top nuts though, they are more rust than metal, so I'm not actually going to attempt to undo those yet. So all in all, pretty happy. We changed the front too, got a new tool, which is always nice, and I'm in a good place to change the two back ones as well. So all in all, even though I've bought the new tool and the new shocks, hopefully by the time I finish them it would have paid for itself. If you think of it like that, think of labour, and I'm trying to justify this new tool, think of labour, think of the cost of the new shocks from Mercedes and all of that. Just support me, give me a thumbs up. I needed the new tool. Anyway, really happy with the lights. Just been for a drive to check that everything's right and tight, and it is. So more upgrades coming really soon. Thanks so much for watching. Please check out more of my videos up here. I'll see you real soon. Bye.